everyone. Hello and welcome to another episode of Black Magic Talk. I got to make sure I say the right show because I have three of them. Today we are going to talk about everything about UFOs. So an interesting topic. Here we go. And then, of course, we will say a few words about Immalk. I know I have some things coming up with my coven, who are my neighbors, and they want to, I kind of want to make that Bridget cross, that with the straw and stuff. I was hoping she would have straw there, but I don't know. We'll have to make it out of paper or something. But we'll see. We're gonna, get it going. So, Matt, tell me, because you had an interesting week. You are in California, and so tell me how it's going. With the fires and everything. I know you said you lost power. On and off. Your well wasn't wet, wasn't giving you water. So tell us how you've been surviving during the week.
Well, luckily the fires aren't close by, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, they've been shutting our power off anytime the wind's over like 15, 20 miles an hour. It's happened a couple times. And unfortunately, that does affect our well since it's collected it to electricity. But we made it through. It's just been, a little bit of a hectic week. But glad to not be near the fires. And glad to have you on, Sonia.
Yeah. Sonia, how was your week been? Since the last time we talked to you, which was Samhain, I think. No, we had you on before. Maybe it was Samhain. No, it was Yule. That's right. It was
that's
Yule.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's been pretty stormy here in the UK. We've had winds at about 90 miles an hour. So it's been pretty hectic out there with the weather and some torrential rain. But luckily, in the southwest of England, where I am, we didn't get it as bad as people in the north and also people in Ireland and the Isle of Man. There was, I think that was 100 miles per hour. And in Cornwall, they had mini tornadoes, which was ripping the roofs off of people's houses even. So crazy weather. But, I'm still here. And the roof's still on the house, so I guess I'm lucky at the moment.
Still alive and kicking, huh? Yeah, I did hear about the mini tornadoes, and crazy fun fact, tornadoes appear on every continent except for Antarctica. So, I mean, sorry. Fun fact, but I like researching them. Yeah. And watching the devastation from them, especially when you have an EF5, which in the United States usually happens within Tornado Alley. Moore, Oklahoma has had like 3 or 4 F5s, and it's like complete devastation every time. They always have to rebuild after one hits them, and it's like, why don't you just all move? I guess you just can't keep a good Oklahoman down, I suppose. I don't know.
But we do have dust devils here, but they're like little tiny tornadoes. But you see, it's really strange because, people call them dust devils and people say that they're a weather thing. But, there is folklore around it, and it says that it's the Fae, and they say whatever you do not walk into a dust devil, because if you do, bad things will happen to you. And so I don't know if it's true or not, because I won't walk into one.
But I wouldn't walk into one. I wouldn't walk into a tornado either. Even if it's EF0, I still wouldn't want to walk into one.
No,
I have.
You walked into a tornado?
No, dust devil.
Oh. Uh-oh. Bad things are going to happen to you, Matt.
This is years ago. I paid my dues.
Oh, you paid your dues.
And they were not in England, so maybe they'll forgive you. I don't know. I've only ever heard of it associated with the Fae. actually in United Kingdom. I haven't heard it anywhere else. I mean, Ireland as well, of course, but I don't know. You may have folklore around it in your area. I don't know. You may.
We had those. I heard of fire tornadoes. They were having fire tornadoes in California during the wildfires in California. They'll have those fire tornadoes, which are really scary and yes, very unpredictable. Literally, I wouldn't want to. Literally, I wouldn't want to walk into a normal tornado. I wouldn't want to walk into a fire tornado either. A water spout, another thing. That's a water tornado. I wouldn't want to walk into one of those either. So there's all kinds of. I mean, it's not just tornadoes and. There's fire, water, of course, there's little dust devils. So dust, I guess you could say air. I guess the regular tornadoes are just the earth. So there you got the four elements there: fire, earth, wind, and water. Yeah. Talk about scary. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do that. Mm-mm. But we are here to talk about UFOs. So, Sonia, why exactly did we come up with this topic?
Well, basically, it is an interesting topic, and I think that people around the world have seen. I mean, it just means literally unidentified flying object. So, I mean, before we get into aliens, which is another thing, but basically, so many people all around the globe have actually seen these objects in the sky and not been able to, fathom what they are. And sometimes they've been with other people who've seen it as well. And I guess the reason that I'm talking about UFOs is because one of the UFO hotspots in the world is actually not too far from where I live. It's a place called Warminster, and it's on a hill called Clay Hill. Now, Clay Hill is a very interesting place anyway, because it's got it's an old Iron Age fort on the top, and it's got barrows on there, and so it's interesting from an archaeological point of view, and it's also interesting in the fact that it's got much folklore around it. So this hill is known for visitations of the Fae as well. So it's got a lot going on, and many people have had some interesting experiences on that hill, and these are people from all around the world, because I think from about 1965 and into the 70s, it was the UFO hotspot, and people came from all over the place just to go up the hill and watch to see if they could see any of these UFOs. And many people actually did. People were camping on the top. And so it's a very interesting place. I've been up there many times myself. It's a very magical place. You get a very strong, it's lots of energy there, lots of earth energy, land energy. So I'm not surprised that people have had experience with the Fae there. But I haven't personally seen a UFO there. I have seen UFOs though myself. But I've got some interesting stories that I can tell about some of the UFO encounters in UK. First of all, I'd like to just ask you and Matt, Steph, have you had an experience where you've actually personally seen UFO?
Matt, go ahead.
I've seen weird things that I didn't know what they were. I'm not sure that they were a flying saucer, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. So what have you experienced? Is it just lights, or have you seen something that looks like a craft? Or
Sure, yeah, like lights and just the way that it moved seemed something that I had never personally seen before. Not that it couldn't be some advanced government vehicle or something that I'm just not familiar with. But yeah, lights and just the way it moved seemed very odd.
Yeah. And we'll sort of get into that as well, because some of it could be, you know, government stuff that we don't know about, craft of the military that we don't know about, etc. Because there's obviously there's going to be secret stuff that we don't know about. But the interesting thing is that there are proof as well that there are UFOs that have been sighted and recorded, that can be, you know, that can be ruled out. So we also know that it isn't all military or government stuff. So that's interesting in itself as well. What about you, Steph? Have you ever seen one?
I'm going to be the Debbie Downer because, yeah, when I lived in, I just was divorcing my husband at the time. I was coming home. It was like really late, and I lived in New Cumberland, and we lived about less than a mile away from an Army depot or a Navy depot. I think it was an Army depot. And I was going like 25 miles an hour because that's the speed limit, right? So I didn't want to get a ticket. I didn't want to get pulled over. And I just kind of looked up, and I just was going real slow anyway. So I'm like looking up, and there's this huge just crafts in the air. And I just remember, I'm like, holy crap, what is that? Of course, my mind didn't immediately go to aliens. It just went to, oh, that's nice. That's what the Army's working on. It just was, it was really huge. And like, it literally was, so it had so many lights on it, blue, green, red. I mean, pretty much a lot of colors. And I just kept like, you know, looking down because I had to watch where I was driving, but I was only going 25 miles an hour. And then I kind of look up, and it's still there. And I mean, it literally covered the whole, you know, sky. I mean, I couldn't see any stars or anything, or any clouds or anything. It was at night. So I'm talking like, you know, around 11 o'clock midnight by the time I would come home, because I did work second shift at one point in New Cumberland and Harrisburg and Campbell. And it's crazy that like, as soon I looked down to, you know, like I looked up a couple of times, and then I looked down to make sure I was driving on the road and stuff. And I'm thinking maybe I should just pull over. And as soon as I thought that, I looked up and it was gone. It literally disappeared. Like literally I looked down 2 seconds and then thought about, well, you know, maybe I should pull over and look at this thing and really examine it. And it's gone. And all I kept thinking was, damn, maybe I don't get probed. Why don't I get probed? No. But like I said, I lived near an Army depot. So my mind immediately didn't go to aliens. It just kind of went, oh, that's a nice toy. You know, that must be nice to have. That's the only thing I've seen in the sky. But it literally was so huge. And then, like I said, as soon as I thought maybe I should pull over and actually watch this, and gone. I was like, maybe I'm seeing things, you know, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But, you know, I do remember seeing that. And I kind of over the years don't remember a lot of detail, just that it was circular, but it was huge. It was really big.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm going to tell you something about a UFO experience that somebody had, and this was in Yorkshire. It was in the 1980s, and this guy was a policeman. So, you know, police are trained to take details, as you know, right? So, you know, he recorded a lot of details about this when it was done. So anyway, first of all, he gets a call, police station. He had to go out. There's a body being found at the railway station. So Of course, he has to go because, you know, it's obviously if there's a body's being found, it may be a murder investigation, etc. So he gets to the railway station, and when he gets there, they say, he says, "Where's the body?" Obviously, and the railway guard there said, "You're never going to believe this, but the body's right on top of the heap of coal, which is, being used there for the trains, etc." So anyway, he said, "The body's on top of a heap of coal. That's crazy, you know." And this was a huge heap of coal. So anyway, he goes up there and he looks at the body and he has to see what's happened, and he wonders, how this person's been killed. Especially considering it's on top of a heap of coal. It's a strange place to find it, isn't it? So anyway, he said he checked the body over, and he said it was really strange because there were several burn marks in the hair on the head. And he said also there was like a little hole in the back of the neck and some very sticky, strange stuff that was kind of like gooey yellow stuff. And he just couldn't make out what that was either. And because he was a policeman, he said that he realized also by looking at the clothes that the clothes had been put on the body after it had been taken up onto the coal heap. So anyway, he looked at the clothes, and then he looked at the body underneath, some of the body underneath the clothes, and there was no coal marks or anything like that. Dragging a body up a heap of coal, it's going to get black, right? And there's no marks. There's no marks, no coal marks on the body. So anyway, it's pretty strange. He doesn't know what to think about it, and obviously, there's an autopsy done, etc., on the body. So anyway, a couple of weeks or so go by, and guess what? There's another body on top of the coal. So he gets called out. He goes to the thing, and exactly the same with these burn marks on the top of the head and all the rest. So anyway, they can't make out how the murderer gets the body up there because there's no sign of being the body. How do you actually get a body up there without something dragging or getting some marks from the coal? So it was just a total mystery because it's a huge, very tall heap of coal. So anyway, they just think there's, some crazy murderer out there. They still don't know how that's being done or anything. So they just surmise that somebody's murdering. So, they've got to do something about that. So anyway, he's on patrol just to see if there's any, people at night walking around that might be suspicious. So he's on patrol. And this is a place in Yorkshire that has got the moorland all around it. It's a village. And so you've got all the Yorkshire moors around there. It's a very wild, isolated place, with the little villages nestled in there. So that was where he was. So he was on the edge of the moors doing his patrols to see who was around. And suddenly he sees this flash, and he looks up into the sky to see, and he thought at first it was lightning or something, but there was no thunder and no rain or anything. So he just saw this flash, and then he looks up into the sky and he sees this craft, and it's very low, and he can see that it looks like it's made of several different panels, and he said it was like black windows. That's how he described it. And it did have some colored lights on it, but he could see it very, very clearly, and then it just went in a flash. It was gone. Now, when he gets back to the station, there have been quite a few people that have been ringing in saying they'd seen some flashes, and when they looked out of the window, they didn't see the craft as closely as he did, but they saw something. They saw something that they described as a craft. So, you know, he he didn't know what to think, because he saw this craft, and then he wondered in his mind, was there any connection with these people that had been murdered, or the dead bodies and the craft, because he couldn't help but put them both together. But as he said, he never did know if there was any connection, because there was no connection could be made. But they never did find a murderer either. So it's a very strange tale, and it has been recorded, and you know, the guy was a policeman. Everybody believes that what he said was true, and also there were people in the village who could testify that they had also seen something the night that he had, and that was before he got back to the station, because they had been ringing the station whilst he was on patrol. So people had seen that as well as him. So I mean, that's quite a strange story, isn't it?
I mean, really strange.
Yeah, I think it's the only one that I've come across. I mean, I mean, in the world, there's probably going to be maybe some others, but it's the only one that in my research that I've come across where there's been dead bodies when there's craft sightings. You know, it's the only one that I've found.
There was a couple I saw on Unsolved Mysteries, um, even though I try to avoid that, or anything that they talk about, like miracles and stuff. And I'm like, what do you think miracles are exactly? Right. There was one where there was two ladies, and I think it was a boy. They were kind of elder, and um, the one was a mother. She was like in her 30s or 40s. And the one lady said, stay here. They saw like a blinding light. She got out of the car and went like this. And all of a sudden, they saw something very bright. It was circular. It was, it almost looked like metal or aluminum, but it was definitely circular and gray. And she said that it disappeared. And ever since, this lady had, they had like burn marks. And the one lady even caught cancer because of it. And literally, it's like they had sunburn times 100. Like really burnt skin. It was bubbling. It was blistering. And I mean, she caught the most of it because she went like this. But I mean, it still was on her skin, and because of this bright light, it's almost like she got like 1,000 times radiation dose. So, and she eventually developed cancer and passed away because, and what's crazy is, the Navy denied everything. They're like, what are you talking about? We don't know what you're talking about. And we're not going to pay for your medical treatments. So that was a big stickum. But I mean, the fact that they saw something while they were driving in a car, and she gets out, and all of a sudden now she develops, radiation poisoning, it just kind of makes you think like, holy crap, that's one thing I didn't have to worry about because I didn't see any bright lights on it. I just saw a bunch of lights on mine, or the one I saw. But yeah, like I can't say it wasn't military. I mean, I'm sure there are some that may not be military because I'm kind of like my dad in that sense. Like, unless I see little green men come up to me, I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, it's all military. But I really felt bad for that family because they literally had radiation burns all over them. Even the child did, but they weren't as doused as this woman was when she got out of the car and had to hide her eyes because it was so bright. So I felt for the family, but I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, talking about little green men, but this isn't little green men. I'll tell you another a story that someone had seen, and strangely enough, it's another one in Yorkshire, but it was in a different place. First of all, this lady had gone to Hull estuary, which is, on the edge of Yorkshire, and she was walking with a friend, and she saw these strange balls of light over the sea, and she's never seen anything like it before. So anyway, they looked at that and thought, oh, I don't know, and went home and talked about it and said, wonder what they were. And they didn't know at the time, but fishermen had also seen them. So they weren't the only people who had seen them that day. Anyhow, when they got home, not long after seeing those over the sea, I think it was a couple of days later or something, they were outside in their garden, and they saw these same sort of balls of light, big orange balls of light over the top of their bungalow. So they got frightened and ran in because they didn't know what it was, and it was quite low, and they were huge, big balls of light, and they'd never seen anything like it before, so they were scared. So they went inside, and when they went inside, not long after that, someone looked in through the window, right? And she had her camera there. It was before the days. I think I was trying to think. I think it was the 1990s. Anyway, it was when the phones didn't have cameras. So she took a photograph with her camera of this, whatever it was, looking through the window. And so she knew she had had a photograph of it. So anyway, they rang the police because they were so scared, because they didn't, they'd seen these balls of light. Someone had looked through the window, and they were afraid of that because they didn't know whether it was going to come in. So the police did arrive. Obviously, at first they thought, are they a bit loony or something, because they were talking about these objects in the sky, not about intruders, shall we say. So but the police listened to what they said, and they recorded it. They also took her camera so that they could get the photographs from it and have a look. So she allowed them to do so. She said she'd taken the photograph. Now the police had the camera, and when the photograph was developed, there was someone looking in through the window. All right, there was, and you can find it on the internet, actually, if you want to have a look at it. I could give you more details on that if anybody wants to do that. But it went from the police to NASA, and they were investigating it. But that's where the trail stopped. So no one knows what happened after NASA had that photograph. But yeah, they actually took over. So it wasn't a little green man. It was a very strange picture of something that looked sort of human, but wasn't. And it had obviously not been tampered with, because the police immediately took our camera, you see. So it wasn't in the days where anyone could have put it through a computer anyway to play with it like people can these days. But anyway, she wouldn't have had a chance to even do that because the police took it. So you know, so there you are. So, there was something, and when they looked around the garden, there were strange indentations all in the lawn as well. So there's another strange one for you. And something appeared as well. It wasn't just they saw a craft. In fact, they didn't ever say they saw a craft. They said they just saw these huge orange balls of light.
That reminds me of the one Unsolved Mysteries that I saw where it was like purple balls of light. And it was actually the UK. It was on a UK Army base. And they just kind of watched it slowly move through, you know, the thicket. And they had people recording it. You know, they had a guy out there with a recorder and everything, with a microphone. And they just kind of watched this ball of light just move very slowly over went like through a house and everything. And they were really scared. And of course, they were told never to tell anybody, but they told Unsolved Mysteries. There's a lot of like UFO stuff on Unsolved Mysteries. I've even seen they did you know, the movie Men in Black, right? It's supposed to be like a funny movie about, you know, these guys who handle all these aliens and stuff for those who've never seen Men in Black or Men in Black 2. I mean, I can sit here and quote them because I love the movie so much. They are so funny. And Will Smith, I will admit that Will Smith makes those movies fantastic. But they even did like a story on Unsolved Mysteries about the Men in Black, how they just emanate evil. They're not really nice guys. And yeah, it's like a big cover up. I mean, you don't even have to go that far. You could just, there's Roswell. Have you been to Roswell, Matt? New Mexico?
I've been to New Mexico, but not Roswell.
Not Roswell. Okay, so Roswell apparently is where you can see UFOs. Cops see them all the time. You know, they have restaurants and themed, you know, UFOs stuff there. And of course, that's on Unsolved Mysteries as well. They've done a story on Roswell. They did a story about this guy in the 1940s. Went out to his farm, and in the field there was nothing but like debris, you know. So they had a really bad thunderstorm, and there was just debris everywhere. And so he starts picking it up, and it's like this metal that you can crunch in your hand, and then you let it go and it goes right back to shape. And no one could figure this out. And then, you know, they're trying to figure out where this metal came from. And of course, you know, when the military gets involved, they have to hush everything up. But there was also a guy that, a writer, who was very well known and very well respected. So like the fact that he saw something, just proves his authenticity. He was driving along, in New Mexico, and literally came upon a craft, and it looks like it had crashed. It was indented, broken off, and then there was these 4 things that had passed away. They were no longer living, and literally when they came to clean up, there was like all kinds of Army and Navy, and of course the military. When they come and clean stuff up, that's when stuff. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, you know, but I think people are seeing something. It's just until I see it, it's kind of like, oh, sorry, it's just the military and their toys. But that's a very intriguing story that Unsolved Mysteries did about the 1940s and this farmer going out to his field and finding metal that you can just crunch in your hand, and then you pull it back and it goes right back into shape. Weird materials. Not saying that our government couldn't have figured that out. It just was, you know, it was material that was not heard of on Earth yet. Or, you know, that they always say, you know, metals that they find, or materials that they find that there's nothing like it on Earth yet. And there could be a possibility. The Men in Black one was a couple of people had taped UFOs, and then these people in suits, black suits, came with ties and stuff and said, "Give me all your stuff," and they took it, and they never gave it back. So it's almost like they took it to destroy it, right? Oh, it's a big military secret, hush hush, nobody telling anybody about it. So so that does happen. I know that, but I mean, like I said, until I see it physically, I'm kind of like, no. Not that there isn't real people with real stories out there. I'm sure there is. I mean, there's oh, I forgot what it's called now. Slapped Ham on YouTube. If you guys, I'll try to link his YouTube channel down in the description field, because he literally has these UFO sightings. He's had people that have taken pictures of these grayish creatures that have, walked into frame and stuff. He also does ghosts as well. But I think a lot of the ghost stuff can be explained. A lot of the UFOs can probably be explained too. But I mean, it's really intriguing to kind of see these stories that people have. And, you're not trying to explain them away when you can't explain them. Like I said, I've seen it, but I mean, I don't immediately jump to little green men and take me to your leader, that kind of thing. But it's very interesting that these stories come about. I will also, if you do subscribe to Peacock, I do recommend that you go through right now I'm going back through the Unsolved Mysteries series, and recognized a lot of the stories that they did. Now, I haven't got to the Men in Black one yet. That was probably in later episodes, but I'm actually looking for the very first ghost story that I ever heard of, which was the Gettysburg Ghost, and I still haven't gotten there yet. So I'm like on season 8, and I still haven't gotten there through the Unsolved Mysteries. But they did have a collection and said, people everywhere are seeing these crafts. They said there was another one in the 40s where they actually had a craft land and crash. And literally, as soon as the military got there, they're hauling out. And this kid says, I could see it from my bedroom window. It was a huge craft. They had to take it out on a huge truck. And, the military won't say anything about it. But these people will come forward and say, yeah, I saw something being hauled away on a big truck. So there's a lot of interesting stories out there, I think. And again, whether you believe in, extraterrestrials or ET, as we say, ET phone home. I mean, and pop culture has gotten into it. So you got the Men in Black, you got the ET, you got, all kinds of stuff about, aliens. Independence Day is about aliens. I don't know if anyone will remember this, because my generation didn't really have it, but back in I think it was in the 40s, could have been the early 50s, where they had the War of the Worlds, where everyone thought that was real, even though it was just a radio fictitious, story about these aliens invading Earth and having a war. And, we were kind of the fodder between these two brawling or warring factions of aliens. A lot of people thought that was real, even though they said at the beginning of the program, this is not a real thing, a real story. People still lost their minds. And because of the War of the Worlds, a lot of people were afraid, oh no, the aliens have come to kill us all, or come to delete us all. It's really interesting how it's also become into pop culture. And there was a couple of people like a year or two ago that they had the army or whatever had these, oh, what is that? That's not one of ours. You could hear the guy say, that's not ours. So I think there are, as you say, there's probably stuff out there, but it's just funny whenever UFOs come up in this day and age, literally is it has an explanation of, hey, that's not ours, but we're going to distract everybody anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what's interesting is if you look at the Rendlesham UFO thing, these are military men, these are airmen. And this happened in Sussex here in UK. These guys were going back to their base, and it was dark. And you can hear the recordings of what they were saying, just about what, like you were saying, Steph, about, it isn't one of ours or whatever. You can hear them speaking about this. They saw these lights, and they were very unusual, and they didn't know what they were. And these are airmen, and they see stuff all the time in the air, so they really know their stuff. So they were saying that this is crazy. We don't know what it is, and that there were several of them going back there, and so they started to record what they had seen as well, because they had equipment with them as well. So what they were doing was they were following this, what they could then see was like a craft in the air, but they could still only see sort of a shape of it and the lights. So they followed it, and then because they were in vehicles, and then it went over into where the forest was and hovered over there, and then went down inside of the forest. So that they stopped the vehicles and they all ran, because they knew that it actually gone down in the forest, and they thought, right, now we're going to see what this is. So so they went there, and they said they saw this diamond shaped craft, and it had landed in the clearing in the forest, and they all saw it. And they all recorded what they saw, and they didn't have enough equipment to get everything that they wanted to, but you can hear all their voices and what they're saying as what they're seeing, actually as it's happening. And then the next thing is that the thing goes straight up into the air and gone, and all these airmen saw it. And all these airmen didn't know what it was. And these guys are flying all the time. There's no way that they don't know. And there's no way they don't know about if there are certain things that the military have, because they'd know about it. They'd know about it because they were all, long-term airmen. And so they couldn't tell what it was. So I mean that in itself is crazy, that these are people that would know what things were, because often you can see things in the air yourself, and you're not necessarily going to know what it is, because you're not always flying like they are and seeing everything all the time. So they can distinguish between different aircraft and everything else much better than, say, we could. So for them to actually see it and not know what it was and get so close to it, that's quite amazing. So what was that? Well, they don't know. No one knows what they saw.
You hear
but
banging? Matt, do you hear banging whenever she doesn't talk? Okay. Maybe it's just me, but I hear banging every time you don't talk.
Do you?
Like now, like right now, I just heard it. It's like banging. You hear that, Matt?
Check your roof. No.
I can, that must be the spirits, because I can't hear it.
There's something on the wind.
That's the other thing. They also talk about, or on Slapped Ham, they have people who are in airplanes will take pictures of these things that move really fast and do circles and stuff into the clouds. So it's not just like, olden days when they had to record everything, but that's when they do the unsolved mystery stuff, because that came out in the 80s. So they didn't have camera phones and good, the one I saw about the UK army base that they were on, where they just saw these globes of light just like fly this way and very slowly too. They actually had a guy that went out there, and that's how they recreated this. Um, they did a recreation or reenactment of it based on those audio files that they still had. So they still have this recorder. It's a good thing the military didn't get a hold of it. But that's how they were able to do the reenactment of this whole UFO, and their orbs like this big, and they would get bigger and smaller. Sometimes they would go out and then come back in. And they would follow him out of the forest, and it went right past the house and just kind of like went in the house, out the house. And they couldn't explain what it was.
I've got a story to tell. Sonia reminded me of something, actually. So Bampa, who we have had on the show, he had a dream about getting abducted. Then he goes to the doctor, and they pull this huge thing of metal out of him, and they're like, "Oh, so what war were you in?" He was never in a war. And so they never knew what happened with that. Then also, my friend Eric's mom had a similar experience. She had a dream about getting abducted. Then they pulled a weird piece of metal out of her that is unexplainable. So I can't say for sure what it was, but yeah, they just reminded me.
That's interesting.
No, never had a story about that or a dream about it. But I like I said, I've seen Unsolved Mysteries, and they talk about people who've been apparently have been abducted because they have that time that goes. You think it's 5 minutes or 5 seconds, and literally it's been 3 hours, and you've been gone that long. There was a guy that was going into the army. He just got into a new army base in, I think it was Arizona. And he talked about this. It's missing time. It's called missing time, where literally he just got stopped off at a payphone, because remember, this is the 80s, 70s and 80s. There was no cell phones yet, right? So he stopped off. The guy let him off at a payphone. He called the army base that he was supposed to report to, and then like waited around. Yeah, he's walking around, blah, blah, blah. And, it's like several hours and nobody comes for him. So he calls the army base again and says, "Hey guys, are you going to come for me? You're only like 5 minutes away." They're like, "We went out there looking for you and you were nowhere in sight." So he's kind of like, wait, what? I've been here the whole time. Like, he thinks he's been there the whole time, but like he wasn't. So he's, they told the story of, through hypnosis, they've tried to give him his time back and what actually happened. And he was actually on an aircraft, but he doesn't remember it because, he had that missing time. And the army has the base that he was trying to get to, recorded it as, okay, you called it this time. We went out to get you 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, you weren't there. And then a couple hours later, you called and said, "Where are you guys? You were supposed to come pick me up." And he's like, "Wait, I lost all that time, but I've been standing here." Right. So, I mean, and like I said, through hypnosis, they have determined that he was actually abducted. And it's called missing time. So I never had that, unfortunately or fortunately, which is funny you say that, because I just, like yesterday, I just had a dream about beating up the Undertaker. Apparently I was beating up the Undertaker. Funny. So that's because he beat up somebody else close to me. So yeah, that was weird. But go ahead, Sonia, you were going to say, but every time you don't talk, I hear this boop, 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 like a beat, kind of like almost.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what that is, because I can't hear it my end, but you can hear it. So perhaps someone's trying to speak to you. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it really is interesting that people have had these experiences, and we never know the answer to most of them, because I mean, it's like the bodies on top of the coal, etc., and then seeing the craft. I mean, it's never been solved. so we're left with these mysteries all the time. The same as, well, all of them, the alien through the window, you know, looking through the window. All of it has never been solved. And yet, you know, these are people that tell these things, that seem quite reasonable people. They live often in areas where they're quite, you know, just little villages and such likes. They're very down to earth, normal kind of people. And yet they have these experiences. And then it leaves us with question marks over it. And I think that's interesting in itself, because I think we all like a mystery, really. But sometimes we would like to find the answer. But how are we going to find the answers? There's not really a way, is there?
What about Aleister Crowley's famous drawing?
Oh, yeah. 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 But, you know, sometimes this is another thing that I was going to say that's interesting, and about the folklore and such likes of things, because there was always a connection, so they say, with the Fae, and they call them the fallen angels, right? So, you know, then you've got people saying things like they think that, like, the fallen angels were actually aliens that came down to Earth. So it goes round and round. And yeah, Aleister Crowley, that's like an alien, is what you're saying, isn't it, Matthew? Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. And it is, it's very strange, isn't it? But then sometimes, how do we know that some spirits that we contact don't come from somewhere else in the universe? Because we talk about dimensions and stuff like that, and of course that's true too. But also we don't know if there are people or beings out there, because I mean, the universe says, because it's not just one universe. I mean, it's bound to be life somewhere, isn't there? I mean, it's vast.
Yeah, it would almost be more odd if there wasn't life somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, the trouble is with us humans on this planet is that often we only think of, you know, the sky over our head, Earth underneath our feet, and just where we are. And we forget that we're actually floating about in huge universe, in space. And like you say, Matthew, I mean, there's bound to be, there's no way. I mean, you know, it would be a very egoistic thing of as humans on this planet to think that there isn't other life out there. I'm sure there's got to be, because we can't even, you know, get there. We haven't gone very far into space. How would we know?
That reminds me of Men in Black at the end, when they've got these aliens and it zooms out of Earth, and all of a sudden they're playing marbles with Earth, and then they throw all these planets into a bag and close it up, and that's the end of the movie.
Yes, I love that. I like this. At the end of the second one, he kicks the locker open, and it's such a rookie. And he kicks the locker open. It's like a subway or a station, a bus station or a subway station, and you just see these aliens walking around. Yeah, I love that. Still a rookie. Oh, I love Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I mean, like I said, I'm still kind of skeptical, but, you know, skeptics like me have been proven that, you know, like the other day, I could have sworn I heard my son's voice. Now, my son was with his grandmother at the time, so there's no way he was in my house. But I swear, as plain as day, I heard, "Hey, mama," because he calls me mama. And I'm like, and I just kind of like looked around confused. I'm like, wait, what? Because I know my son's not in the house, you know. So I kind of want to take a chapter out of, and I'm not agreeing with him. Okay, I'm not agreeing with him. There's a lot of stuff I don't agree with him about. But Alex Jones had made a very valid point, or at least I thought it was pretty valid. When he was on Jimmy Dore's show the other, like last year, he had brought up interdimensional beings. That's perhaps what we're interacting with, and maybe that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what about Damien Eccles, Sonia? You were telling me a little bit about him.
Yeah. Well, well, did you watch that about how he ended up on death row?
I did for just a minute. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he was accused of, along with a couple of other guys, of killing some children, which he never did, and he ended up on death row, and it was proven eventually that he was innocent, and he spent a lot of years on death row, right? So he's an incredible guy, because most people, I mean, the treatment that he had in there, you can only, it's horror, truly horror. What he went through, how he was treated, beaten up by the guards virtually every day, starved, in his own urine and all sorts of stuff. It was horrific, absolutely horrific. And how mentally he ever went through that and came out the other side, I'll never know, because he's just an incredible man. But whilst he was in there, he was already interested a bit in magic, but he got very, very interested in magic, and he had a correspondence with a woman who brought him some books that he asked for, and he started to read about ceremonial magic. And what he did was, whilst he was in there, he did a lot of the magic just in his own head, because he didn't have any tools or anything. So he did a lot of the ceremonial magic actually just in his head. He would visualize casting his circle and such likes just in his mind, because he didn't have any other way of doing it. Anyway, whilst he was doing it, he made contact with angels, and these were the angels of the Kabbalah. These were the ones that the Golden Dawn often talked about, that sit at the four corners, Gabriel and such. And then one day, one came to him actually in there, and he could see them. He could see it, and it was like a rainbow, if you like. It was lots and lots of different colours. He could see the shape of it, but it was mainly just lots of different colours all flashing. And anyway, that's what got him through. And he was told that he would, they would find him innocent in the end, and it kept him going. And he was told by the angels that this would happen. And anyway, he was found innocent, and he is free, and he's a very, very good ceremonial magician. He teaches people now, and I've got some of his work. He is a very very, very powerful magician, and so he had angelic contact, rather like John Dee and Kelly. So I don't for one moment think that he's a liar. He's not like that. And anyway, I've tried his magical work, for myself to see, what I got from it. And it was certainly a very powerful way of doing magic. So I would say that, everything he said is true, that he did get this visitation and he did get contact with them. And of course, they are interdimensional beings. You don't have to be Christian to believe or contact angels. In fact, Madeleine Montauban did purely angelic magic, and she was a witch in London. And her students, I knew Michael Howard and Alfred Douglas. In fact, Alfred Douglas taught me some of the angelic magic for me. He taught me that after Madeleine had died. And so, of course, you can work with angels. You don't have to be Christian to know that. And they're certainly there. The Golden Dawn knew they were there. They knew that perfectly well. So Aleister Crowley knew they were there. A lot of people think of Aleister, and they never think about the fact that he did angelic magic, but he did. And, he was very into Enochian magic, in fact. So, people get thinking that if you're, pagan, or you're a witch or any of those things, that you wouldn't believe in angels or you wouldn't do angelic magic, but that's not true at all.
Oh man, it's been a great episode, but our time is up again. See how much fun we have, and then time goes really fast. So I just want to do something at the end here. If you guys want to close your eyes, you can. We're just going to say some words and then do an invocation for the goddess Bridget, or Brig, whatever her name is, or whatever you will call her. So, yeah, there you go. I'm going to make mine hopefully this week with my coven. So
yeah,
whether it's made of paper or straw, but Sonia's got the right one there.
It's made from wheat straw. That's right.
Wheat straw. Okay. So again, if our audience just wants to close your eyes, I'm going to just say a few words. If you want to hold your hands up, however you do this is fine. So, Imok, blessings to you. May the light of the growing sun fill your heart with warmth, renewal, and hope. May this season bright, fresh beginnings and a deep connection with the Earth's awakening. What your plans for reflection of this year? Make sure you do reflect on that. So, here we go. Invocation to Brig, goddess of the flame. Brig. Bright one, radiant and true, we call upon your sacred fire, keeper of the hearth and heart, goddess of inspiration and desire, flame of wisdom, flame of healing, guide our souls through the dark and the unknown. As the earth stirs beneath the snow, may your light awaken our own. Brigit, lady of the forge and the flame, grant us strength in body, mind, and name. Nature, the spark of creation within, as we honor the new season's win. Bless our hands, our hearts, our minds, with the fire of transformation that always shines. Illuminate our path with your eternal light as we step forward to Imok's night. By your light, we rise and grow. Brigit, guide us and help us know. Blessed be, so mote it be. All right, that is our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you do want to, I think I'm going to do a little bit more with Imok, just do a special where my teacher gave me some words that you can do, and I will explain what you do with your altar, or what you can do with your altar. You absolutely do not have to do that. But just like Yule, what I did with Yule, I will do with Imok, and then I will do with like Beltane, Astara, Beltane, and then of course Midsummers. So just to have those little specials out there for you. They're not going to be very long, maybe 15, 20 minutes, if that. just so that I can literally get those words out to you so that you can do whatever you feel like doing. If you feel like listening to this, however long you celebrate these holidays is completely up to you. But just so that you have those words of wisdom, if you don't know where to start, or if you are even intermediate like me, and you just want to hear the words, and you want to have someone else do the words, and then you just kind of meditate while you do them. So that will be coming up very shortly, probably tomorrow-ish, I'm thinking, because again, this week is the end of January, and usually the end of January, beginning of February is usually when Imok will come in. So if you do have anything that you guys want to let us know, you can always direct message us through X. All of our X's will be our Twitters will be in the description field. If you want to get a hold of Sonia, I will have her website. I still have it from the other, the Yule one we did. So check her out. And again, click if you want any information. It'll all be in the description field. So, if you would like a reading from the great Sonia Smith, she does all kinds of readings. I know I am her personal reading person. Also, if you would like to take a mediumship course with her, of course, I will link all of that in the description field. I'm taking her course, and trust me, it's opened me up so much that I didn't even think was possible. So all that will be there for you. And remember, everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you back here again. Next week, we are going to have Celtic Fox Fortunes. Her name is Robin. She does tarot like every day, and then she does angelic tarot. She does dragon tarot because she also likes dragons. So she will be on next week, and we will interview her and just kind of get to know her a little bit better. And hopefully you'll be with us then. So blessed be everyone. Have a great week. Blessed be everyone. Hello. I just want to let everyone know that the outro music is AI generated. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. And also, if you would like to generate your own AI, the link in the description field will be for their website. Blessed be everyone.
In the woods where the whispers run deep, underneath the moon where secrets we keep, she dances in the shadow with the silver tide. Candles flicker soft, guiding light as a guide. Her altar's filled with herbs and old charms, lost in ancient spells, safe in her arms. Stars weave a tapestry across the black sky. With a chalice raised high, she lets out a sigh. With her sacred circle drawn tight, calling to the spirits in the quiet of the night. Her magic's in the earth, the wind, and the seas. She whispers ancient words, swaying like the trees. In a grove of oaks, where the world stands still, she gathers her strength with every Sabbath thrill. The moon's tender gaze, casting shadows cold, the stories of her craft in the twilight retold. The broom by her doorstep, sweeping away all the dark shadows of yesterday. With the cauldron bubbling, herbs to the air, every spell she casts is a heartfelt prayer. With her sacred circle drawn tight, calling to the spirits in the quiet of the night.